Okay, good morning, everybody. Playing some more of this Bant control deck that we played we played this like all day 3 weeks ago, and it was really good. And I haven't come back to it, but I do feel like it is something I want to keep in mind for Vegas. So we're gonna play some of it today. Probably not playing this all day. Good morning, all you beautiful spikelings. I'm your friendly neighborhood e-boy, Aspiring Spike, and welcome to my Shark Typhoon. Today we're going to be playing some happy little Bant control in Modern while remembering that we don't make puns, just happy little accidents. So fire up your MTGO premium account and play along with us. Let's show everyone the joy of banting together and support the stream by subbing, following, liking, commenting, buying a CFP Pro Plus sub, and just by watching. Good morning, everybody. Spike, start stream intro when. Confused by the comment, but good morning, everybody. Good morning. I do really like this deck. I think that obviously this is just the stock blue-white list, effectively, with a green splash for Abundant Growth and Ice-Fang, where Abundant Growth is very, very good with Yorion, and also Abundant Growth allows you to fetch more basics, which makes Ice-Fang a better card, and Ice-Fang is, you know, really good card when you can enable it. And so this is like one of the few decks that I feel like can actually enable Ice-Fang Coatl. And I also really like this sideboard card Endurance in this archetype, where your sideboard as a Yorion deck is pretty weakened because you're going to draw your sideboard cards less often. You also have more cards in your main deck that might be each individually bad in a specific matchup. And so having versatile sideboard cards like Endurance and Veto I think is pretty valuable. Like an animated intro for when I start the stream. I mean, I've got the starting screen. I don't know what an animated intro would be like. I feel like we could have other upgrades to the production value of the stream that would be more helpful than an animated intro. Do you feel like this deck is just better than regular blue-white? So that's another point where I think that the card Chalice of the Void is losing a lot of stock in the format. And so I think that if you think that Chalice is good, I think you should be on blue-white. And if you don't think Chalice is good, I think you should be on Bant, is my current working theory. And I don't think Chalice is great at the moment, so that's a big part of the reason why I'm going to be on Bant, I think, for the time being. Turn 1 Urza Saga, no companion. Interesting. Let's play the Floodplain. All blue-white duels, which is not ideal here. Why no Sunset Revelry? I don't think that we have a particularly terrible burn matchup. I don't know. I don't think Sunset Revelry is, you know, even all that good. To be honest, it's fine. It's not bad. I think I need to Anthem Ice. No, they can still make a second contract by tapping the first one. Might be okay to make them do that. Might be okay to make them do that. Yeah, I think we're playing against the mono white. Oh no, the Darksteel Citadel means that they're like affinity, sorry. So yeah, just like getting an artifact off the field is also kind of valuable with that assumption too. What a good cards list, running the Resto, Yorion synergy. Yeah, Resto is a totally fine way to build the deck, I think. You also probably want to play Wall of Omens if you play Resto too. So you play like Wall over Spreading Seas. There's definitely, you know, especially in a Yorion deck, you just have so many ways to build the deck. So for Bant versus Blue-White, is Yorion better than Kihira, or is that a personal choice? It's very close. Obviously, there's like a lot of conversation to have on that topic. Like, Yorion is definitely the more powerful of the two companions. But if you feel like you need, like, a very... Oh, sorry, I did not mean to have 6 there. If you feel like you need, like, a very specific metagame card to have success in a format, then Kihira is probably going to be the card that enables you to do that. So there is some interesting dynamics, I think. Definitely in a tricky spot. I think I need to steal this Bomat Courier. Or maybe I'll steal a Construct and block a Construct. Or block the Bomat. That's probably the play. What do you think this is better than the Team of Reclamation deck I've been playing? Maybe. I feel like I just haven't been having that much success with Team of Rec, and I don't really understand why. I feel like I really like that deck. I just haven't been winning that much with it. I enjoyed through 5 months. Thank you so much. Welcome back. Hope you had a good SCG con. So they're floating a red mana. Oh, they get to tap the construct because of the Springleaf Drum. Right. Is Yorion better than cutting Counterspell, Force Charm, and Giganta? Yeah, good question. Yeah, I like the Reclamation deck a lot too. Definitely one I've been really enjoying. Morning, Harvard Yard. Was haircut part of the no Golos thing? I can't remember. Do I need to force this? I probably do. Not sure if I'm supposed to pitch the the Teferi or the Counterspell. I think I like pitching the Counterspell. Taking a big hit here. This Bomat Courier is looking very deadly. I like the Bomat Courier a lot. I kind of wonder if it's possible to fit it in the main phases, I think. I wonder if it's possible to fit it in a different shell. Alright, let's exile the construct token, I think. I don't wanna let them use the Bomat right now. Maybe it's better to do that. Yeah, but if I exile the construct, I get to this turn go block Ice-Fang on Signal Pass, block here. Tapple, thank you for 3 months, appreciate ya. Bomat as Saga target. Yeah. Their Bomat is a Saga target. Yeah, I wonder if in the Fiddlebender deck, we are playing one Sacred Foundry for Giganta. I wonder if we should also be playing one Bomat Courier. Do you think every time we can play some Boggle creatures to avoid the Solitudes and Fury payoffs? Maybe. I don't think that's the worst idea. Mom, thanks for the 20 months. Appreciate ya. Thank you so much. Everybody in chat say thanks, Mom. Alright, let's Teferi plus here. I have not thought about registering Tails. Wait, well, I did briefly consider it for. I can't remember exactly what it was. There was something we were talking about Tails End recently, but I haven't felt like it's been exactly where I want to be. Were you talking about a Azure deck yesterday? Yeah, we ended up brewing it together on stream and playing it on stream, and it was okay. It was definitely fine. I think. But I feel like it ended up kind of feeling like a worse version of the Fiddlebender deck. And kind of just made me not that interested in continuing it. But I probably will play a little bit more of it off stream. We'll see. Okay, kind of flooding out. Can I afford to Castle Vantress first? I don't really think I could afford to. We just so many draws that we lose the mana for if we castle first. Alright, let's Yorion here. Pass back. And then I think the best time to use this charm is probably in my opponent's draw step. It's an old standard trick to kill the Bomat in the draw step. At a somewhat dense 7 life. Or somewhat fragile 7 life. Dense is not the not the right word. But what's nice is this something nice over here. It one of them is not equipped. Or I guess this one's also just on an Ornithopter, so I can move that around too. Okay, they did get to empty their hand, and they've got the cranial plating, but honestly, not that scary of a turn. Although I drew another land, 2 more lands, which is less than ideal. Yeah, drawing 2 lands there is really bad. We also don't have enough mana to castle too. Might actually just be dead on board, right? Because they go attack with 2 Ornithopters. And now they could attack with 3. They could just attach to the one I don't block. But they don't. They forgot about the attach. Or they're just going to attach in combat. Yeah, just attach in combat. How goes the Zurza deck? Not that good, I think. I don't know. It felt like a fine deck, but it felt worse than the Fiddlebender deck, you know what I mean? Yeah, I know about the Abundant Growth bug on Moto. Bummer. Yeah, land there, so tough. Okay, so let's bring in the 4th Verdict, 3rd and 4th on Ice, the 2 Stony Silence. Look at the Force of Negations. I still want the Spreading Seas for Urza Saga. I think I'm gonna go down 2 Teferis, maybe 1 Teferi, 1 Teferi, 1 Teferi, 1 Deluge, 1 Teferi, 1 Counterspell. Let's do that. Let's do that. What's my opinion on splashing blue for Dance of the Mance and Fiddlebender? It seems really mana intensive, and if I was gonna splash blue for a card, it would be like Thought Monitor. You know, that would be the blue card I'd play. And the big payoff to the Fiddlebender deck, in my opinion, is the low mana curve. Like, having such a low curve compared to like every other Dirtily artifact deck is really why I like the list. And so like making the curve higher with like Dance doesn't seem that good. Yeah, so if you have an Abundant Growth enchanted to a non-basic land, it's supposed to be able to tap for any color, but it doesn't. Yeah, we were just talking about that wolf. Yeah, I think that you could play a Bomat Courier. I'm not exactly sure what you'd play it over, but it seemed to be pretty good there. At the very least, like, it seems like worth playing it out of the sideboard against control. I'm gonna get the basic forest here, and then I think I do like using the Anthonice. They're an affinity deck, so they really do need a density of artifacts in play. So just like being able to 1-for-1 them as early as you can is pretty important. Thoughtseize, interesting. Yeah, you are late today, Funder. but all that matters is that you're here, of course. I heard that growth plus spreading seas was fixed. That's good to hear. Wait, does growth plus blood moon still not work? But growth plus seas is fixed? What is the advantage of just get Murktide over blue-red? Yeah, we talk about this a lot, but Prismatic Ending greatly improves your bad matchups, where blue-red Murktide is soft to Hammer Time, it is soft to Chalice of the Void, it's soft to Rest in Peace. And Prismatic Ending gives you an answer to all of these things in the main deck. And then the white sideboard cards, the Teferi Time Ravelers, they also give you access to Teferi Time Ravelers, Blossoming Calms, Wear Tear. These are all like really big upgrade sideboard cards too. The downsides are that your mana is like a little less consistent, but your mana is still totally solid. And okay, I'm gonna bounce that Saga. Yeah, your mana is still totally solid, and your mana base is more painful, so you're more fragile to burn, but you actually get sideboard cards against burn, so that's honestly a little bit of a wash. One other downside is, like, if you play the Wear Tears of the sideboard over Engineered Explosives, you are like a little bit worse against Rhinos, I found. But if you feel like that's something that you're really concerned about, you could also just play Explosives over the Wear Tears, but I feel like Wear Tears is a better sideboard card overall. Alright, I think it seems good to Anthonice the Signal Pest here. Thank you, Andre. I'm gonna draw 2 here. Be nice to start hardcasting these Solitudes. Alright, there we go. But I also have this Ice-Fang to chump. Or should not chump, to trade for the token. So I guess I'll just wait. Because I might also want to go... I might want to go Ice-Fang plus Counterspell here, of course. Does the main deck EE also give you Answers Chalice Hammer? I mean, how many E's could you possibly answer? You know, how many E's could you possibly main deck? Like, it's like like a lot of times you have one explosives in the main deck of Blue-Red Murktide. Prismatic Ending is also way more synergistic with Murktide Regent. With I guess it's not that much more synergistic with Channeler, but it's definitely a higher synergy card. You know, being a sorcery. And you get to have more of them, you know? You get to have more answers to these cards instead of like the one engineered explosives in the main. Just not ticking up Teferi. I don't know if you're joking or if you actually have Twitch chatter blindness. But there's a needle on Teferi for those of you who do have chat blindness. How's the Zerd deck? I don't know. It felt like okay, but it did feel like a worse version of the Fiddlebender deck, to be honest. Relate to the party, but advantages finish a bit of control. Yeah, we talked about this. I mean, I played this deck a little bit. I have liked this deck. I think the big idea here is that if you think that Chalice of the Void is not really like where you want to be at, I want to main phase this, I think, for affinity, and then I think I'm okay to just try to block the Bomat. The big advantage here in my mind is if you think that Chalice is not where you want to be, the green splash doesn't cost you that much, and Abundant Growth and Ice-Fang and Endurance are worth the splash, really. Where Ice-Fang is a phenomenal card, Abundant Growth works really well with both Ice-Fang and Yorion. It just doesn't cost you that much to splash. And the big idea is, like, if you think Chalice is not really where you want to be, I think that this is a good way to build a deck. And I think that Chalice of the Void has lost a lot of stock in the last couple weeks. It's still definitely a totally fine card to be playing, but like, I kind of learned the lesson with the General Rockerick deck, right? Where that deck feels like it's as good as Chalice of the Void is. You know, there are some decks that you can just build and they're like incredibly good when Chalice of the Void is good, and the Rockerick deck is that, and Chalice is not that strong of a card at the moment, or at least compared to how it was a few weeks ago. And so because of that, I feel like if you want to be off of Chalice, this is a better way to build the Blue-White X deck. But obviously it's important to note that, like, this deck and Blue-White Control they're the same archetype, they're very, very close to the same. It's really not that different, you know? So I was holding up Flashback Deluge. I felt like we could take 7, but I don't really want to take 14. Yeah, I guess I want to use this so I can play around the Shadow Spear equip. How did Zurza Saga go? I don't know. It didn't seem terrible, but it just kind of felt like a worse Fiddlebender deck. Just higher curve, bit slower, without really the payoffs being there, you know what I mean? Alright, I'll just pass with either Flashback Deluge up or Ice-Fang plus Deluge, but this game is pretty over. Garbage time. I'll Flashback. Grabbing Teferi, Counterspell, can't ever go wrong with those. Alright, game 3 on the draw, a little slow. Maybe we'll get lucky and have a Stony Silence, huh? Teferi doesn't beat Rhinos generally since they can't cast Rhinos ever. Doesn't Teferi beat Rhinos generally since they can't Rhinos? Oh, well, I mean, Teferi on the play is usually quite good, but they can have Force of Negation for it. Yeah, but Teferi is good against Rhinos. I'm not saying that you just lose all your equity, but Engineered Explosives is, in my opinion, a better sideboard card against Rhinos than Teferi, just because of how it's really just not that hard for them to... Ooh boy, what a start. It's not really that hard for Rhinos to ignore Teferi a little bit. Or get underneath it, or answer it. But, like, reactively answering the Rhinos usually feels a bit better to me. I guess I should No, let me exile the Stringleaf Drum. They might not have a red source. And I think this is probably going to be what slows them down the most here. Is Endurance for the reasons of Bant? Yes. So I talked about this a little bit, but when you're playing Yorion as a companion, your sideboard cards are like a lot weaker, or a general amount weaker, I guess, than they usually would be. All right, now let's answer the Bomads. Because you're gonna find them less often. You know what I mean? And it's also true that you have more cards in the main deck that might be each individually bad in a matchup, and so having the ability to side out. Oh boy. Having the ability to side out, or side in really flexible sideboard cards, like Endurance, like Dovin's Veto, I think is something that has a lot of value. You know, these cards are going to be... They're just kind of always going to be something you can bring in and be reasonable and be very effective in certain matchups too. So we're like, Rest in Peace is a sideboard card that blue-white gets access to. But the problem is, like the blue-white Yorion deck in the control mirrors, they usually have like 4+ dead cards because they just don't have the density of sideboard cards to bring in. But we get to bring in Endurance at least. We get to cut the Verdicts, the Onthanices, and some amount of Solitudes and bring in 4 Endurance, 4 Dovin's Veto. And so usually it's like you cut these 5 and 3, leave 1 Solitude in, or you can play 2 Solitude, 2 Ending, but you just have like a lot less dead cards in the control mirror compared to blue-white, which is really nice. Really want to play Soul Herder? I would recommend the Kiki Jiki list I've been playing. We're playing against a Lurrus deck. I'm gonna keep this. Kind of hope they're playing Hammer Time. Sounds great against Hammer, but pretty good against most Lurrus decks besides maybe Mill. Not definitely Mill. Not definitely Mill. New thing about playing Black Quick Control, got Sideboard User. Any changes to Black Quick Control? I was looking at it this morning. I feel like the list is pretty good, but I was also kind of looking at it. I'm just not sure how good I feel like Lingering Souls is. So my plan for today was to play like a league or two with Bant and just kind of feel like, try to evaluate how I feel like Black-White would do in the environment that we play against today. Oh my gosh, it's Twiddlestorm. Okay, this hand is terrible against Twiddlestorm. That is, you know, I don't know how obvious it is here, but I guess I should Spreading Seas because this gives me a chance to charm next turn as opposed to Ice-Fang. I don't know how obvious it is here, but like them revealing Lurrus like made me keep like very. I mean, I probably would have kept anyways, but I was pretty confident in keeping a hand with a lot of creature removal against the Lurrus deck, and then they're just Twiddlestorm, which has so much value. I believe it's the Inverter guy. Well, I don't think they have Inverter because they have Lurrus. Hey Simon, how's it going? I think the Zurza deck was winning because of Zur. I mean, it wasn't winning. I think that the card Zur was totally fine in the deck, but I think like especially when you compared it to Oswald, which has been like the basically the same deck, but with better mana and a lower curve. Like Oswald and Zur felt very comparable in power level, but with Oswald being 2 mana plus 1 mana to activate every turn, as opposed to Zur being 4 mana and no mana to activate. But with just much better mana, lower curve. So I feel like the Zur deck was very cool, but ultimately probably just a little bit worse than the Fiddlebender, right? Could you have Inverter in the board to wish for while having Lurrus companion? Well, what can... I don't know that there's anything in Modern that lets you wish for it. Like, in Legacy, yeah, you have a Living Wish, but I guess you can have... There's the 4 mana Mastermind's Inquisition, yeah. You can Mastermind's Inquisition. Oh yeah, also the card Wish. Yeah, of course. Tell you we need to be Grief Ephemery deck with Zur. Awesome pitch target. yeah. Deck not have a Stream Decker. It should be. You have to scroll down a little bit, but it's also like it should be the linked deck too. Opponents is deep in the tank, which probably means we're dead. Oh no, they are just sacrificing. Okay. We do have Force of Negations in this deck, which is nice, of course. Just gonna pass here. Time to Brutaloist. I feel like I don't know. I thought like briefly about it. I'm not sure if the deck is good, but it looked pretty good when we played against it, huh? Why do you think that Tron is not having necessary success? I personally think Tron is hella underplayed at the moment. You know, it's also like definitely true that there are a lot of metagames where Tron is viable and still not seeing any play. Like a really good example would be during the trophy race season, right? Prince was like the only person. Guess I should look for Force. Prince was like the only person playing Tron, and he was just like crushing it with Tron. But nobody else was playing at the moment. It was really unpopular, and I think it is at the moment pretty underplayed. Yeah, that is true. We could try to go. I mean, I think that they should be able to kill us. I'm gonna make them go through their combo so I can see their deck. But usually, Twiddle plus Scour plus Underworld Breach is a win. But I do want to see what their build looks like, so I'm gonna make them play it out. How about Tron isn't interactive, fun to play against, and has no new tools? Well, it's got some new tools. I mean, it's got Yava Maya. Yeah. I mean, I know that Tron isn't fun. Like, I'm sure that's obviously like or at least I don't find it to be fun. I know that's a big part of the reason why people don't play it, but it is. I think it is better positioned than the amount of people that are playing it. You know, would indicate. This list should be on Stream Decker. I don't know. Stream Decker does this thing where I'll link the deck and then it just won't pop up when people exclamation point deck, and it's pretty frustrating. But it is on Stream Decker. You have to scroll down a little bit. It's like. Maybe more than a little bit. Yeah, it's here. And see, look, I have the star here, which means it's my current deck. So it should when you type exclamation point deck pop up, you know what I mean? But it just doesn't sometimes. If you wanted to see their build in paper, could you like make them play it out? Ask to see their cards in graveyard exile in the game? Or how would you keep track during the combo? If you wanted to see their build in paper, I mean, you just make them play it out, just like we're doing here. I don't think it'd be really any different. And here they're just gonna grape shot again and kill me. And so they really didn't show me that much. Okay. So I'm gonna bring in Rest in Peace, the 4 copies of Dovin's Veto. Notably, we don't have that many green cards to pitch to Endurance, but we're mostly just going to try to hardcast this card. And cut the Solitudes, the Verdicts, the Anthonices, and probably have to bring in the Endurances. I could play one Stony Silence. They're playing Bauble and Wishclaw Talisman. At the very least, Stony Silence seems better than Prismatic Ending. This looks pretty good to me. Hey Shane, how's it going? Alright, I'm gonna keep this. So I need to set an alarm. I do have to end today's stream a little bit early. I got some commitments. So I'm gonna make sure I don't accidentally go over. I did just get one Jobs Fair yesterday. I think we were 7-3 on the day. It felt fine. I think that I still would probably prefer the Murktide Regent deck to it, but it's also possible you should play that version with Snapcaster. That might make it a little bit better too. There's some tooling to be done. We're gonna play an 80 card deck if you don't have the 4th Endurance and 4th Flusterstorm. Yeah, that would be fine. Although I'm not playing any Flusterstorms, right? I'm playing all Dovin's Vetoes. Yeah, Uro would be nuts here. Not a bad draw. I think I'll let that go. It can be bad to just sit here and like wait forever and like let them wish for some permission. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and Stony Silence this turn. I know that like there is a chance that I could die, but it's I think pretty unlikely when the Wish Claw is stonied. What's the value of splitting fetch lands into your off colors? Well, if you look at, I mean, I'm playing 80 cards, and so I want to be higher on fetch lands in general. So where's the list? I want to be higher on fetch lands in general, and I'm already maxed out on Flooded Strand, Misty Rainforest, Prismatic Vista, Windswept Heath. I mean, I'm just maxed out on all the fetch lands in my colors. I'm not really splitting here. Boosted, thank you for 2 months. Appreciate ya. Glad you liked the stream. After Capina, would I replace Floodplain with Bant Triome? Yeah, probably. It is also possible that you end up playing both, but I think that I would probably start with just the Bant Triome, and then you would probably just go Bant Triome, basic, and then have Ice-Fang Beyond on turn 4. Don't have Mystigates. Would I recommend into place of them? Probably just Glacial Fortress. Got a lot of glacial cards to choose from, I guess. Opponent's playing Twiddle Storm, where they play the card Lotus Field, and then use card Twiddle effects to untap Lotus Field and turn them into Dark Rituals. I think we have to let this go. And they'll take my Archmage's Charm, but, I mean, this is going to be a hard hand to beat. They can also take Dovin's Veto, which removes my ability to double Counterspell in a turn, but then I get to draw 2 with Charm. They did take the Charm. Maybe Luris in hand here? Yeah. Alright, big draw step. Big draw. Thank you, Milk. Get any good news spoilers today? I saw this card. They messed up the templating. It says +1, but doesn't say till end of turn, so we probably get an errata. Probably not that good of a card, though. And that resolves. Okay. Awkward draws. Actually can't cast any of these. Should be okay for a little bit, though. Oh, Thirst for Discovery was kind of cool. So the new Thirst cycle, between Thirst for Meaning and Thirst for Knowledge, you draw 3 cards and discard 2 unless you discard a basic land. Probably will be somewhat playable, but, I feel like, the basic land requirement is definitely real. Yeah, now I can cast an Endurance, I guess. I saw a bunch of people on Twitter complaining about this card, Bloodveil Purveyor, in the context of Standard, of course, saying how a 4-mana 5/6 flying trample with no downside was too good, but this card has a downside. Whenever your opponent casts a spell, they make a blood token. I feel like that's an incredibly big downside, even. I mean, if I jam Teferi here, I'm, like, incredibly cold to my opponent, like, disputing and then comboing off. So I guess I should still wait. Okay, now I get to start casting Endurances, which is huge. Hey, Emma, how's it going? Alright. Stony Silence were pretty good to bring in, looks like. Thirst for Discovery seems like a reprint of Compulsive Research. I mean, it being an instant is huge, right? Instant as opposed to sorcery is really big, but I mean, discarding basic land is a really big cost in Modern. I could maybe see that card in Blue Moon. In Blue Moon, that card could be pretty good. Yeah, Hero's Downfall seems pretty exciting. Yeah, it did seem like they're F6, but in this game they're just like dead to. I guess I should wait. I should leave up the Endurance, probably. Then should I have 3 counter spells up, or should I play the Teferi? I think you'll just keep the counter spells up, and then try to cast the Endurance into turn and kill him. Yeah, I remember I had to like buy Downfalls for $20 to build blue-black control, and that deck was okay. It was okay. Yeah, Downfall was a rare when it was first printed. Okay, going to game 3. Can't imagine Blue Moon ever plays Thirst over or in addition to Archmage's Charm. I feel like in addition to is totally fine. But yeah, probably not over Archmage's Charm. But you have some extra room there, I think. But if any deck is going to play this card, it's Blue Moon, because they played the most basics of any control deck by far. Isn't Thirst Discovery worse than Memory Deluge and Blue Moon? Yeah, I would say that that's true, yeah. I would say that that's true. I mean, but you know, 3 mana versus 4 mana is big. If you feel like there's like other 4-drops you want to play on your curve, maybe, but yeah, probably not. Probably not. Guess I keep this. Oh, I see the new art on a braid. I haven't seen the art now. Is it like really sick? What are my thoughts on Blue Moon? Currently, with a lot of the meta decks having greedy mana bases, I think it's an underrated deck. It's an underrated deck in my opinion. Have I updated Blue Moon? I haven't like personally. I mean, I've been like tweaking it like a little bit, but I haven't really spent a ton of time messing around with it lately. But the Pin Sword, Jacob, friend of the channel, has been playing a ton of it on his stream and doing really well. He's one of the trophy leaders with playing mostly Blue Moon. Not exclusively, but mostly. What is my spoiler announcement? You tell me, dude. Your guess is as good as mine. Oh yeah, this is pretty sick. Reminds me of JoJo's with the vampire mask. Winter growth isn't stopped by Blood Moon or Seas. It's not supposed to be. I guess I'm gonna Dovin's Veto this. It's not supposed to be. Yeah, I saw the thing in the Ice Dressed Down Moon list. I feel like it's fine. Although, I also think that like the main reason to play a Blood Moon deck is usually... Or I think in the Ice Dressed Down deck is to also get Lurrus as a companion. Right, that's fine. I'm kind of surprised that they're playing Inquisition over Thoughtseize, to be honest. Although I guess most Disruption is going to get taken by Inquisition. It's kind of interesting. Yeah, I would love to spoil Jade Avenger. I'd love to spoil any card, of course. I'm always happy to accept a preview card, but my inbox is empty. Do you feel like there's any value in playing a deck that might appear to be a different deck for the first couple of turns? For example, playing blue-red turns into Stork with Phoenix is popular. I mean, there is some value in that, but it's not the kind of thing I think that you can... That you should think very hard about, you know what I mean? Like, there's some value, but it's very marginal, and it's really not something that you need to like build a plan around. If you get there, it's really nice, but you don't end up getting there very often, I feel. The top of my library has not been super kind. I don't know. I mean, we shouldn't tear down anybody that gets preview cards. I honestly feel like Amaz is like super deserving of a preview card. Like, he's like definitely someone that spent the time learning the game, is really talented, and also like giving preview cards to people who don't stream a lot of Magic makes a lot of sense because it advertises the game pretty well. But I really like Amaz. But I'll also say that it also doesn't make a ton of sense to give me preview cards for Crimson Vow, because it feels like the set is incredibly standard focused, right? Yeah. It's not that big a deal. He's a judge puncher. I mean, I feel like there is a lot of nuance with that story, right? There's a lot of nuance with that story. Like his side of the story is like pretty different from what I understand. Obviously, I wasn't there. I don't really know all the details. How effective do you think transformative sideboards are? I wrote like a big long article about where I guess I talked about transformative sideboards. It's not they can be very powerful, but like they it's kind of rare for it to be like the correct plan. It happens sometimes when it happens it's really cool, but being transformative for the sake of being transformative is not usually that good. This really feels like playing against Legacy Storm, where they just like tank for 10 minutes every single turn. If you had #1 Mythic on Aria, they might give me a preview card. I'm okay. This is also something I know that we goof a lot about the preview card things. I'm okay. I really I would love to have one, but I'm not really worried about it. The interview with Mana Symbol? Yeah, Mana Symbol's great, for sure. In a given year, how many total percentage points do you think Magic players give up trying to feel smart? And amount for sure. Like that's kind of like a really common thing, especially in Modern. People are always asking like, what's the hardest deck to play? Or they're saying, oh, your deck's easy to play. But how easy or difficult your deck is does not really translate directly to how competitively viable it is, you know? In fact, even like you might lose some percentage points just if your deck is incredibly difficult. This is just a worse rankle? Hope not. Henrika Dom Nathi. Legendary vampire. Flying 1/3, no haste. Beginning of combat your turn, so kind of like haste. Each player sacrifices each draw, transform. Okay, well. So you can immediately transform it. That's actually kind of sick. Into 3/4 flying Death Touch lifelink. Each creature you don't control with flying Death Touch or lifelink gets +1/+1. So you don't want to transform it if you want to use these. I like that it draws you a card immediately if you want it to. I really like that actually. Assuming that they're tapped out. I think it's this like I think this card definitely could see play in standard. In fact, I think it'd probably be pretty good. I wouldn't call it just a worse rankle though. Yeah, I would not call this just a worse rankle. They're definitely different. Opponent, please do something. I know that with 2 talismans, this turn has got to be complicated. A deck tech for Johnny. Perfect time for deck tech. Of course. Do not main deck subtlety. Don't do it. I know that Jacob does it. I know this is Jacob's list. I think subtlety is an okay sideboard card, but it is. I think it's quite poor in the main deck. Especially you only have 3 counterspells in here. You're playing subtlety before the 4th counterspell. It just doesn't really make any sense to me, to be honest. I'd play the 4th counterspell over any number of subtleties. I think the first borrower's fine. You could probably leave it at home. Also, Blood Moon is really good right now. I think you could definitely play the 3rd Blood Moon in the main deck. Especially if you're playing Prismatic Command to potentially loot extra copies away. I would not be opposed to just going -2 subtlety plus the 3rd Moon plus the 4th counterspell. I like the first Force of Negation. You could also play more than that. I wouldn't play more than 2 at the moment in this list. I'm playing 3 in the 80 card version right now. I also think like Aether Gust is like I don't think Aether Gust is a good modern sideboard card right now. It's okay. It is like what's nice is it's a pretty flexible card, but there isn't a lot of Titan, which is the best matchup against. You're already really good against Titan because you have Blood Moons, so you need this effect less. Oh, sorry, my eye is like twitching. I just wouldn't recommend it, I guess. I like the relics. I think the rest of the sideboard looks okay. I still am not really high on a braid though. I feel like a braid is like It's not even very good against Hammer. It's like always like a 2 mana 1-for-1 where you're like trading down on mana, or almost always that. Which is a problem, I feel. Yeah, I might play like the 3rd Prismatic command over the 1st Braid and maybe just skip the other one. I'd play like some dress downs, like 2 dress down over 2 Braid too. Dress down's pretty good. Would I play in the board over Gust? Well, if you're really, if you're not gonna main deck the 3rd Blood Moon, I'd play the 3rd Blood Moon there. It's a good question. I could play dress downs in that spot potentially. Do I have anything to tutor for that can deal extra damage? I don't really think so. Oh! That was like the sickest play I've ever seen. I'm not like 100% sure I'm supposed to use the endurance here, but I think like turning off like shock lands and is pretty good. Okay, Stony Silence. Hopefully that's good enough. They activated both Wishclaw Talismans, and then they echo in truth their Wishclaw Talismans back to their hand. And then we top deck Stony Silence in our 80 card deck. Attacking them down to 1. Oh, you know what? Me putting Yorion in my hand is probably less relevant than me not dying to Gutshot for 16, but whatever. Neither are very close to relevant. We'll see. Yes. Alright, took 1,000 years, roughly. Roughly 1,000 years, but we're 2-0. Okay, this hand's fine. Gonna keep it. Go Breeding Pool, and then decide if we play Forest or Prismatic on turn 2. Prismatic lets us hold up Counterspell plus Ice-Fang, but if we're like convinced we're gonna Ice-Fang, I'll probably play the Forest on 2. Giving some Walter. Yeah. People have been saying I look like Walter with these glasses and the haircut. Early Walter, still married Walter. I'll be watching Athena while Esther goes on vacation with her new boyfriend. Dog's got papers. Do not roll on Shabbos, no. Alright, I guess that makes it pretty easy. Just Ice-Fang trying to block Ragavan with Force of Negation up too. Yeah, Big Lebowski Walter, not Walter White. Might be a stupid question, sorry, 4 months ago. Look at your with rented decks, your looks great. Is it also working in paper? Yeah, I don't know what, it wouldn't be any different paper to Magic Online. It would not be any difference, in my opinion. Or at least not a meaningful difference. Pretty good. Any chance updated version of Shadow? Yeah, I think that we'll probably play some Shadow soon, especially with Corey winning the Invitational with it. I was saying this earlier, like I feel like Chalice is on the decline a little bit, which was a big problem for the archetype, and now I feel like Chalice is declining some amount. I'm a little bit more excited to play some Shadow. Michael, 25 months? It's crazy, dude. Thank you so much. Keep it up, the memes and the dreams, huh? Alright, let's go. I think I'm gonna go Ice-Fang, bounce my Ice-Fang. Plan's been a little awkward. Be okay, though. Get Prairie stream with us. Yeah, we'll play some Shadow soon. Maybe tomorrow, maybe Thursday. But I kind of want to spend a little bit of time like off stream, messing around with it. Because there is a ton of nuance with the list, and I want to feel like very confident in my decisions before we play it again. Okay, a lot of options here. We're very ahead this game, of course. I think this matchup is really good. How does Twin Gauntlet go? Any steering hot takes? I went into it thinking that Twin would be kind of unsafe to unban, and I went and sorry, safe to unban, and I left thinking it would be unsafe to ban. Just like the blue-red Ragavan Twin deck was just pretty nasty. It 5-0'd. But obviously, very small sample size. Widow Phoenix Rise from the Ashes. Phoenix is totally playable right now. Phoenix is definitely playable at the moment. People will just have to actually put down the Murktide Regents and otherworldly gazes, in my opinion. Spike, watching YouTube videos, I could finally catch a stream. Been running an older version of Reanimator without new Solitude frame rate. Would I recommend Counterspell or Drown? I would probably recommend Counterspell, depending on how many enablers you have, I guess. Let's let this go. Yeah, it kind of depends on the number of enablers you have for Drown. Like, you could potentially justify a Thoughtseize plus Drown version, but if you're just playing one or the other, I would play the Counterspells, I think. Think Grixis, Blue Red Black will stay viable near future. Reckon they'll rotate at some point like Jund did. It's hard to like. That's the kind of thing that's very hard to predict. I would expect that they would remain somewhat viable for a while, but of course, it's impossible to predict that kind of thing with any degree of certainty. But I would imagine they would stay pretty viable. At least some flavor, right? Like Jund Saga, Red Black Turok, Blue Red Murktide, Jeskai Murktide. It's hard to imagine that none of those decks ever like are not you know. It's hard to imagine none of those versions are viable. And honestly, you also say rotate out like Jund did. I've been saying this a lot lately. Boomer Jund, like just regular old Jund, is a totally playable deck in Modern right now. It sounds weird to say. I'm gonna leave this back to Block Ragavan. It feels weird to say, but it's a totally playable deck right now. Obviously, you have to play some new cards. You have to play like Grist and and some of the new removal spells. Probably Ragavan. Although Reed is 5-0 without Ragavan. You have to like put like a new card in your deck probably, but. It is definitely playable. Is 18 land too greedy and you just got Murktide? I'm playing 19, right? Remember? Yeah, I'm playing 19. I mean, I think that's if you cut any land, like you're kind of light on the number of like sources you have for your spells. Okay, I saw the main deck Blood Moon and I was like, oh no, I'm me. I always lose to main deck Blood Moon, but I actually remembered that this deck is very good against Blood Moon. Should I Teferi or should I Yorion? Probably Teferi. Well, the Yorion doesn't get spell pierced. Let's do that. Yeah. Oh yeah, this deck is actually pretty good. Like the first time I play a deck that's good against Blood Moon in years. I'm gonna move the Spreading Seas over to my land. So how it should work is, let's actually just play test it, right? Is this fixed? You guys want to see if it's fixed? If I guess I can't hard cast my double white spells. Yeah, that's a little too risky, I guess. Well, I would have been paid off. Let me discard one copy of Supreme Verdict. I guess just 2 verdicts. Yeah. Yeah, it's supposed to let you tap for any color, but it's been bugged to where it doesn't for a long time. For a long time. Dude, our matchup is good. Our matchup is straight up straight up amazing. All right, let's test it. Is Breeding Pool an island or mountain? It's just an island. Just an island at the moment. Because of layers? I'm gonna wait to test it till next turn. Okay, it does say it has tap add 1 mana of any color. They might have fixed it, chat. This has been a bug for a long time. It looks like they fixed it. Oh no, they conceded before I could check. It looks like they did though. Can anybody confirm? Has anybody like run into this? This is not proof. Okay, does it usually say that? Definitely don't want to celebrate too early. We'll cut third Teferi. It's yeah, kind of slow. How did I place Vistas if I only had one? I'm not sure. I guess you just play other blue fetches if you have them. Any general thoughts with the long term? Hold on. Viability. My position good sub decks, travel synergistic decks. I'm getting a bit tired losing because the synergies can't keep up with the individual power of new cards. I mean, people I think make like really big sweeping statements like this. Like, I can't keep up because of the general power level of new cards with my synergistic decks. I feel like usually that translates to this one specific deck that I like has fallen out of favor. You know what I mean? But as far as tribal decks goes, I think both humans and merfolk are pretty underplayed. Yeah, I think both humans and merfolk, in my opinion, are underplayed. And I think that human players need to adopt Esper Sentinel. I think Esper Sentinel is phenomenal in humans and phenomenal in modern. I would build a deck with 4 Champion of the Parish, 4 Hierarch, 4 Vile, 4 Sentinel. And I would probably be on Recruiter of the Guard 2, but it might be good to be on like Ranger Captain in that spot instead. I'm not 100% sure. There's like a lot of really difficult ways to build the deck, but I feel like starting with 4 Sentinels is a really good spot to start. Could Vile completely for Sentinel. Yeah, people keep saying that, but it's like, people keep going, you know, Vile, it's so bad against Prismatic Ending, but it's like your whole deck's bad against Prismatic Ending. You're humans, you know? Like, it's not like all of a sudden you're going to be able to, like, tank Prismatic Ending really well because you've cut the Vile. Like, it's going to be good against you. Let's try to draw a land here. Oh, sorry, yeah, Imperial Recruiter, not Recruiter of the Guard. Of course. Or Elves completely off the map. Elves, I feel like, I feel like I've lost the last several times I've played against Elves. Okay, so I don't have a Temple Guard in the deck, which I would want here to get double green and double white. I'll probably prioritize double white here, though. Get Prairie Stream for that. If you have one more deck, it'll fade in and out of meta. If you have 2 or 3 have different game plans, then one should be almost playable. Yeah, that's definitely true. That's definitely true, I would say. Hopefully they Murktide here. Ooh, Hall of the Storm Giants and Murktide. It's pretty sick. Maybe they're more of a blue... They are main decking Blood Moon. Maybe they are just more of a Blue Moon deck with Ragavan. No Channeler. Deadpool, thank you for the 2 months. Appreciate ya. Oh. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna draw another card here. Awesome. So now I can get a forest. MW, thank you for the 2 months again. Yeah, there are some decks that you can buy into and like should be viable for the foreseeable future. Like I think a great example of that is Yawgmoth. Yawgmoth feels like a deck that is very competitive and is like resilient to hate and is one you can master and just kind of play always. And then there are some decks that are gonna fall, you know, out of favor more easily than others. Like the best example is like the 4-color Ephemerate decks. Like if big mana decks are ever popular, that deck loses so much value. I have not seen a Magmatic Sinkhole in quite some time. Chalice not good. Yeah, I think the Chalice is less good, which is a big part of the reason why I'm playing this deck today. Is I think I want to plus so I can instant speed answer a Blood Moon. Yeah, I think Chalice is a lot less well positioned than it has been, and so, I think if that's the case, then I think Bant is better than Blue White, but not by a lot. It's obviously very close. Why play Seagull only he is card? Blue Moon has a harder time getting Delirium than. Yeah, Blue Moon has a harder time getting Delirium than Blue-Red Murktide does. Yeah, it doesn't feel great to have to pitch here. It does feel correct, though. I might, oh, sorry, I can't also cast this Murktide, of course, yeah. Oh, they also get to gain 7 life, which is so much. But I now get to draw an extra card. Yeah, Abundant Growth is really good, for sure. Yeah, if we hardcast Solitude, the Ward 3 stops the Solitude from exiling the hull there. Could cast and chump. That seems way worse to me, to cast and chump. Seems really much worse to me. Thoughts on Yavimaya and the stick over Flooded Grove? Well, Flooded Grove, like, you get, like, Basic Forest a lot of the time for Abundant Growth, or for Ice-Fang, and, like, Flooded Grove filters Basic Forest into double blue for Counterspell Charm, and Yavimaya doesn't do that. In fact, in this deck, like, it's not... You do have Endurance in the sideboard, but it's not, like, really that common that you need double green, and if you're cutting... And Flooded Grove also gives you double green, so I guess I just don't really get the argument for Yavimaya, besides it's can cast Growth. I don't think I'm really going to be Endurance or Verdicting this game. I think I am going to bounce the Murktide, though. I would play the, I maybe play like 3-4 Prismatic commands over any number of Abrades, to be honest, but, yeah, something more like this. If you test the Abundant Growth bug on yourself at some point, put Growth in the land, then play Seize on it if your Change Ability bug is fixed. Yeah, someone said that was fixed already, but, yeah, we could try to do that. Not a fan of harvesting fetches. So I'm not harvesting fetch lands in this matchup because they have Blood Moon, and I'm still operating under the assumption that Blood Moon is bugged with Abundant Harvest. I would normally, or Abundant Growth. I would normally be doing that, but but in the past, it's only worked. What do I want to do here? I guess I'll just Anthonize the Murktide. Yeah, in the past, you have to. I guess I should have Growth first. You have to put your Growth on your basics to play around the bug. And that's what I'm doing here. Yeah, this deck has a really, really good Murktide matchup. And you don't need the Chalices to have a good Murktide matchup either. 3-0, let's go. Why doesn't Fracture see more play? Well, I would say that the biggest like restricting factor for Fracture is the colors it's in, black, white. You know, they're like the only like real black white deck in Modern. I guess it's like Hammer Time and Reanimator, and I feel like both of those decks have like better, more efficient options for the matchups that they want to deal with. Okay, thank you, Goblin Guide, and thank you, Goblin Guide. I can't Anthonize and Abundant Growth this turn. I think I'm gonna hold up Counterspell this turn. The next turn we can, you know, See what we want to do, but just being able to answer Eidolon or any other creature feels important. I don't think the burn matchup's great. I also am not like playing sideboard cards for it, but I think it's fine. There's a link to the list at the top of your stream decker. Yeah, I just added it. I just added it. I just put it there. But it wasn't there like a moment ago. Okay, so they suspend Rift Bolt, so I should probably play this Teferi to stop the Rift Bolt, and then I guess I'll minus bounce the Goblin Guide. Pretty good turn for us. Oh, Force is a good draw too. Plays the Goblin Guide. I would love for them to kill Teferi here. Awesome. Maybe they'll suspend another Rift Bolt. Oh no. 80 cards, by the way. 80 cards, by the way. It's plus the Teferi this time. If you click on the name of the current deck that has a star at the top page, it goes to the deck list. It's current name of the current deck that's a star at the top of you. I mean, I know that's how it's supposed to, but like people will just type !deck in the chat and it just doesn't show up. And I don't know why that is. Yeah, too free for the beans sometimes. Alright, I want the rest of the Anthonice. Don't think I want any verdicts. Just way too slow, I think. Teferi was really good that game. I think I want to trim on the draw, though. I want to keep all the Spreading Seas. Spreading Seas is pretty good against burn. Endurance is okay. I like that it clocks my opponent, but getting double green seems kind of tough. Yeah, like needing double green feels like definitely feels like a cost when I'm bringing in all these like early white spells. So I feel like I'll just play Veto instead. It's also like just like having a 3-mana 3/4 blocker is worse on the draw too. It's a bit better on the play. You ever played any Legacy? I used to be like at one point a primarily Legacy player. I played Legacy at the only Pro Tour you could ever play it. Did pretty well. I haven't played much lately though. I used to play a bunch on stream too, actually. Yeah, I agree that this matchup does not seem very good. But you can still win, of course. And it's really hard to commit sideboard cards for the bird matchup in the Yorion deck, you know? This hand's phenomenal, I think. So I gotta check a thing. Okay. Am I going blind? Esther's been saying that she's been saying that my vision's going, and I kind of think she's right. I just keep like having to squint at everything. This is like, I feel like my vision used to be better than it is. Keep having to like put my phone really close to my face, but I feel like I can still see things, you know what I mean? But maybe that's just like not the case. I'm becoming a little bit more aware of the fact that I just keep doing this kind of stuff. They suspend Rift Bolt, but sadly we're on the draw, so we don't get to make them feel bad again. But thank you for the gifted sub, Crazy. Appreciate you. Yeah, it's been roughly 15 years since I've got my eyes checked or something. How is this better than blue-white with better mana? Well, Abundant Growth and Ice-Fang and Endurance are all upgrades to power level, and Abundant Growth really helps with the mana, you know. Would be my comment on that, I guess. Yeah, your mana in blue-white is definitely better, but it's not like it's not that much better. And like Ice-Fang Endurance and Abundant Growth are all like big upgrades to power level. Abundant Growth is really good in the deck. With Teferi, with Yorion. You need to check them once a year, 2 every most. Man. I know. But does that mean I'm going to? Just give a sub. Thank you, Crazy. Appreciate ya. Alright, let's go blue-green. I'll just go with the Misty Gate. I have 2. And let's bounce the Spreading Sea, so I have a blue card to pitch to Force, I think. How's that Twitch Vision plan? Not great, I guess. I got a long list of things I need to check out, you know. Gonna be going to the doctor soon. Did I consider Abundant Harvest for the deck? I imagine... Oh, Abundant Harvest. I don't think Harvest is... Like, in Legacy, Harvest is just so much more castable, you know what I mean? I'm not that big a fan of the card. I think this is fine. About to get a Solitude down. Yeah, I'm just waiting for my Cyberpunk eyes, some Cybernetic eyes. Alright, they need 2 more 1-mana burn spells here. No! Their hand was literally 3 1-mana burn spells. Solitude can't exile itself, for those of you wondering. Can you explain why Abundant Harvest is more castable in Legacy than in Modern? Mana is way better in Legacy than in Modern. I know it's like in Legacy you're also like, 1, you have access to dual lands for much stronger mana, but 2, you also have like you're more incentivized to fetch basics anyways for to dodge Wasteland. But in Modern, like you're like fetching and shocking for Harvest on turn 1 is pretty painful, and it's just, I think it's also like also in Modern, like you want to hit more lands anyways than you do in Legacy, so like ensuring that you don't flood out with Harvest is less of an issue, I think, as well too. Yeah, like it's pretty unfortunate for us there, because this matchup is not great, and we were definitely we were really ahead if their hand was not exactly 3 1-mana 1 damage burn spells. Yeah, it's $10, man. Shuffle this Counterspell away, get a tapped Breeding Pool. I guess I can get Plains with this, and then I can also shuffle away my top card if I don't like it. Yeah, definitely. They're all creature draw, very good against our Counterspell heavy draw. I'm going to shuffle away this Ice-Fang, I think, get the Plains. But I also have to take 4. But I can steal a creature, block a creature. Very behind, though. Opinion on the 5-color Scapeshift deck. That deck's fine. That deck's totally fine. Dead Dad, thank you for 3 months. Appreciate you. Can you post the link in chat, Vinny? I'll take a look. Helix the Swift Spear, and they hit me for 5, down to 4. Found a Flooded Strand. Guess we need to find Solitude. Solitude Force of Negation, maybe? It's like, okay, we found Solitude. I mean, if my opponent's hand is literally nothing, we can win. Obviously, probably lose this game. Yeah, I'll sign some cards at Vegas. Yeah, I cited the verdicts out. Bummer. Really thought we were going to win that game too. And the mono white deck is really good at grinding. And I think that diminishing the consistency and becoming slower is not something the deck wants to do. But that being said, if that is something that you're interested in, I feel like you have a really good draft. You have a really good draft. Okay, we're playing against a Lurrus deck. I'll go ahead and put back, I think, I guess this is a white card for Solitude, but this is lower mana. I guess I'll put back the Deluge. Yeah, I think you've got a really good first draft if this is your goal to... Oh, no! Oh, my gosh. Oh, no. The dangers of talking and fetching. Yeah, I really don't have too many gripes with the list. But I just think that, you know, it's maybe not the best way to build the deck. Okay, correct our mistake a little bit here. Losing with burn with opponent tapped out. Going Solitude, pitch Solitude, exile their Solitude, survive, so it's wrong. We didn't have enough white cards to do that. We didn't have enough white cards to do that. Right? Oh yeah, I need to grow up the forest too. Got a little distracted from all the talk. Yeah, sorry. I think I'm just going to Yorion in the hands and then use that to exile the Dark Confidant here. What do you think about bug control, 4 snappies for Coatls? I mean, it's gotta be more than that, right? Like you don't have a great win condition when your Sultai control is a big problem with the deck right now. Dead to 2 hammers. It's like, you don't have Teferi Hero, Jace the Mind Sculptor is pretty medium at the moment. They get a hammer, so if they put a hammer on the Sentinel, we can steal. Not out of this yet, but not being able to Spreading Seas the Saga this turn definitely feels bad. Miss Valkyrie Brings Light. I almost played it today. I'm kind of I think I want to play it again soon. Yeah, I guess that's probably what you have to do is if you want to play Sultai control, play the Brings Light Valkyrie deck. So if I'm gonna force, I'm gonna force the hammer itself. They have 1 card left in their hand. If it's a hammer, we're kind of screwed. If it's not a hammer, we're doing okay. We can Spreading Seas the Saga, and then they get a token. We've got a 11/11 Sentinel. Oh, so they also get to draw another card here. But we also get to draw a card every time they cast a non-creature spell for the rest of this game. I guess not if they have Paladin to move the hammer back over. What can we pay? We have to pay 11. Esper Sentinel makes you pay based on power, not on... It's not just 1. Well, that is true. They don't have Metalcraft for Paladin. Good point. I don't like how long they're pausing, because if they really just don't have anything, it should be like relatively easy for them to just go. I'm gonna make a Saga, and then I'm gonna make a Saga token, but it seems like they definitely are waffling between something in their hand versus just making a token. Okay, but then that can answer something in their hand. Although, yeah, I mean, if they activate Stoneforge Mystic to put a hammer on the construct, then they win this combat, but we are not exactly just dead. And then we're pretty good if they have, like, any non-creature spell. We did already pitch the Lurrus to Solitude in this game. I don't think that matters so much. Should be able to pay pretty easily. Yeah, that one matters. Can pay for this one too. Dead to their last card being a hammer. Really good to draw Counterspell off the seas. Not so good to draw the Misty. I'm going to hold it as a bluff card. You don't get to draw from Esper. They didn't cast a non-creature spell. Now they've got Luris, which is a big problem for sure. That one's a good draw though. Yeah, we used the Yorion to pitch to the Solitude. Draw with growth? What are we talking about? This Abundant Growth draws when it enters. You don't sack it to draw. You're thinking of the Aether Revolt one. I mean, I don't think I can afford to risk my opponent mis-sequencing here and allow them to like play the Paladin from the yard. Like if they have a land in their hand, they should just immediately play it and play Paladin, but I just have to kill the Luris anyways. Was attacking Terror 2 agree to have Solitude? This turn it is, just because of the constructs, like I need to Solitude the Luris, not the construct. I think I'm gonna fetch you down to 3. Big draw step. Another Solitude is a huge draw. Let's wait a turn, but I'm probably going to go end of turn Solitude, exile Construct, start attacking for 6. Pure Steel Paladin is the worst for us. That's the Paladin. That's the worst for us. Not sure what our plan is. I can go exile. I can go exile their Sentinel, double block the construct. Why didn't we attack with the Sentinel? Maybe we should have. Although I feel like we just have so much inevitability in the late game, like just making them kill. Like they can take 11 very easily. I feel like it's not like a super relevant attack. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go for the let's go for exile Esper Sentinel, chump block construct here, or maybe I should double block. Maybe I should just do the double block and then just chump next turn. Big Oofta, thank you for the 5 months, appreciate ya. And then we get the chump block next turn, and then if we could just draw an answer. Or sorry, I guess Supreme Verdict is really what we need to draw. But we have this buys us, you know, a turn to draw either like removal into removal, Archmage's Charm, Verdict. Flying, hammer removes flying. Hammer makes the creature lose flying. Not a very good draw. Alright, one more look at anything. Better than a land, I guess? Not better than that land. The Stoneforge Mystic Saga, very good. We do get to counterspell the Stoneforge Mystic, get to jump here, take 4 down to 5. The best possible would be Spreading Seas into Supreme Verdict. But I'll graciously accept just a Supreme Verdict. Humbly accept. I mean, we can steal the Ornithopter to like fade combat for this turn. The problem is that I'm dead to the construct, even if I draw into Verdict next turn now. So I think what I have to do is Archmage Charm and try to draw like Ice-Fang to block this turn. Ice-Fang or like Land Verdict, I guess. Oh, Solitude, but no, not 5 mana, not another white card. But Solitude would have been fine too. Okay, lost game 1, unfortunately. Gonna bring in the Stony Silences, the Anthonices, the Supreme Verdict. I'm gonna cut the Force of Negations, gonna trim a Teferi Hero, trim a Time Raveler, and I think just submit this. Looks pretty good to me. I think this matchup is pretty good. You got Ending, Ice-Fang, Solitude, Archmage's Charm, Verdicts. Ice-Fang particularly is really, really good at this matchup. I think a version of Rockrick could return. I recently put together a new version of Rockrick that I liked a lot. However, I do feel like the viability of the Rockrick brew kind of hinges on how good Chalice of the Void is in any given metagame, and I think that Chalice has lost a lot of stock. So I'm kind of waiting to play that deck when I feel like Chalice is good again. Minnie, thank you for the Twitch Prime. Appreciate you. Fire off a Prismatic Ending here. The Zurza deck kind of felt like a worse Fiddlebender deck, to be honest. Hoping to continue to work on it, though. How good is Seize versus Hammer? It's pretty good against Urza Saga, and it's good against Nexus, too. Can sometimes mana screw them. It's good, but it's not like 2 mana win the game. It can be kind of slow. Definitely depends on what kind of draw they have, of course. They find a Colossus Hammer. Just pass back here. Now it's letting a Fumarate, like 1 EV Wit, to mitigate the mana intensity of elementals. To mitigate the mana intensity of the elementals. If you're talking about in this deck, Solitude is totally fine in a deck like this without Ephemerate. Where it's like a removal spell early, you hardcast it late game. It's also like, people will do this a lot when you play a Yorion deck. They'll say, oh, you can add this 5-card package pretty easily, right? Your Yorion deck should be easy to accommodate that. But the reality is, I think this list is very hard. It has very little wiggle room. Like when you compare this to like the blue-white list, like we're adding Abundant Growth and Ice-Fang, and that's like, and then extra lands. And when you do that, when you add the Abundant Growth and Ice-Fangs, there's really not much room to work with. And I think just like I don't see how you could just accommodate the plan of just let's add some Eternal Witness and like 4 Ephemerate, and like even if you do just that too, you have too few creatures that work with Ephemerate as well. If that's your only change here, you're like your creature count is too low for that. So I'd need to add more creatures too. It'd be a very different deck in general. That's a great draw. Why is Chalice bad? It's good versus Hammer, Burn, Blue, Red, and Rhinos. Are there too many mirrors? Yeah, the metagame is like those decks are all exist for sure, but there's a ton of controllers, a ton of like 4-color Ephemerate. There's like Reanimator is a somewhat popular deck. There's a lot of like kind of like random stuff too that is generally not good against Chalice. I know that's not like a super clear description, I guess, but the format is very diverse, and while it is good against those decks, it is not the slammed. I should not say Chalice is not a bad card right now. Chalice is not bad, but it has lost a lot of stock in the last couple of weeks, and I think like its stock is continuing to go down. And maybe it'll go back up, but right now, like I think you're way less incentivized to be in on Chalice than you were like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I also think people always overvalue how good Chalice is against Burn, where they have like so many 2 and 3 drops. They have so many 2 and 3 drops usually, and if you're on the draw with Chalice, like a lot of times they're just out of one mana spells in their hand. And spending like turn 2 to play a Chalice, just you get hit by their creatures again, is often like a big deal. Well, this turn's gonna be very good for us. Do you have the mana to Abundant Growth? I'm not going to be gilded. Not going to be. Well, Stoneforge in this type of deck. I've been playing regular blue-white Stoneblade lately. I think that if you're going to be a mid-range Stoneforge Mystic deck, you need to play Esper Sentinel. I would even say that it's mandatory. If you're going to play a mid-range Stoneforge Mystic deck, you need to play Esper Sentinel. And I've got a blue-white list in the Stream Decker you could look at that I would recommend. All right, going to game 3. Definitely keepable hand against Hammer Time. Does need to draw like a land. Any revisited black-white control today? Maybe. I definitely, I know I've been talking about it. I do want to revisit that deck again. We'll see. I'm just not like 100% committed to it today. Yeah, Stony Silence has felt pretty good lately. I've been really into the card again. Will you play Team Wreck in the near future? Maybe. I'm not against it, for sure. Not against it. Might even played in Vegas. But I don't have like the week planned out or anything. And I never do. I always try to be. I guess I don't really want to on the nice here. Yeah, I never really have the week like fully planned out or anything. I always try to kind of see what I'm feeling, what I'm liking, you know, the day before. All right, so I'm going to Solitude. I think pitch Anthonice. My thoughts on Corey cutting bolts from Glacial Shadow. I'm really trying to wrap my head around it. To be honest, I don't really know how I feel about it, but it is a bold decision, and I certainly will say that. I like to see bold decisions. Okay, I feel like that was a little bit of an early concession, but not that early. Man, we almost 5-0 this league. The bird matchup was just so rough. They needed exactly three 1-mana burn spells that turn with 3 cards in hand. Otherwise, we're gonna start solituding them, and they had it. Do you think Glacial Shadow is bad right now? I wouldn't say, like, the power level of that deck is so high that I would say it's definitely playable. It did just win the Star City Games Invitational, but also, like,